And greetings, my friends, patriots, lovers of democracy, truth, and justice, believers in peace, freedom, and the American way. Thom Hartmann here with you. It's a tragedy. 27 people reported dead in Newtown, Connecticut, 26 of them in a school. He shot his mother, who is a teacher in the school, and then most of the children in her classroom and a number of other people. Some high-capacity clips apparently in his handguns. So that's the latest on the news. The president's going to speak in about 15 minutes or 10 minutes, I guess, on this. But it being Friday, we, of course, our first hour is Senator Bernie Sanders, Brunch with Bernie. Bernie, welcome.
Good to be with you, Tom.
This is a real tough one. Let me just toss it to you, sir.
Well, it is. You know, it's almost hard to put this tragedy into words that 17 or 18 children are dead is, literally beyond belief. And, somebody who has 7 grandchildren, this, is, just something very hard to deal with and to think that this happens in our country, and similar type events have happened in the past. So there's a lot to discuss about how we deal with this kind of horror show and the kind of world that people live in who can commit these kinds of crimes, and how many of them may be floating around America today, and what a sensible approach toward guns may be. But for the moment, at least, it's time to just be thinking about the families there in Newtown, and our hearts and prayers go out to them. This is obviously a community that is never going to recover from this tragedy. It's absolutely unthinkable.
Yeah, absolutely. There are other things as well going on in the world or in the country.
Well, they sure are, and I just came back from Washington last night, and as I think most listeners know, there's a whole lot of discussion going on around the so-called fiscal cliff, and how that is resolved and the way that is resolved will have a huge impact on many, many millions of Americans. The issue there is how we do deficit reduction, how we avoid going over this cliff, and what's the best way forward. And the way I look at it is that at a time when the gap between the very, very wealthy and everybody else is growing wider, when you have an extraordinarily unequal distribution of wealth and income in this country, while effective tax rates for the wealthy and large corporations are quite low, that what we must not do is balance the budget in these negotiations on the backs of the elderly or the children or the sick or the poor or veterans. And I've been working very, very hard on this issue, and we're trying to fight back various proposals that Republicans and some Democrats are floating. And one of the proposals dealt with raising the age of Medicare eligibility from 65 to 67. And I think there is now growing understanding that that is a totally absurd proposal, because it will end up costing our healthcare system twice as much as it saves the federal government. It saves the federal government about $5.5 billion, but ends up costing about $11 billion every year, because the cost shift will take place on businesses, on states, on individuals. And I think it just doesn't take rocket scientists to understand that if you're 66 years of age and you have no health insurance, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And I think that is a disastrous proposal. I'm very pleased that Senator Dick Durbin, who is close to the Obama administration, announced yesterday that his understanding is they have taken that issue, that proposal, off of the table, that they're not going to support in any way raising the Medicare eligibility age from 65 to 67. That's something that they had toyed around with in the past. I'm glad that they have taken it off the table. It's an absurd proposal. The issue that is on the table now that I want people to be thinking a whole lot about is something that very few people outside of the Beltway are familiar with, and that is a so-called chained CPI, which is a very underhanded and duplicitous way of cutting benefits for working families and the elderly and veterans. And what that proposal says is that the way we calculate cost of living adjustments, COLAs, is too generous. And we have to be stingier in how we do that. The result of that would be is that if you're on Social Security now and you're 65, if you're 65 and you're on Social Security, by the time you're 75, you'll lose about $560 a year in benefits and $1,000 a year in benefits by the time you're 85. If you're a disabled veteran, if you can believe it, there will be significant cuts in your benefits. And I just received saw a very, very strong letter from the American Legion, among many other veterans organizations, who denounced this change CPI for what it would do in terms of VA service-connected disability compensation and VA pension benefits. I hope most of us can agree that you don't balance the budget on the backs of men and women who went off to war and came home without any arms or legs. That's not the way we do it. The truth of the matter is, and this is not talked about enough, is there are ways to do deficit reduction that are fair. And the president is right in saying that we should repeal Bush's tax breaks for the wealthy. We should put a limit on some of the deductions that the wealthy can benefit from to reduce their taxes. We have to take a hard look at corporate taxation. 1 out of 4 major corporations doesn't pay a nickel in taxes, including some of the most profitable. We are losing $100 billion a year by companies that are stashing, and individuals that are stashing their money in the Cayman Islands and other tax havens. We are spending too much on the military. We're spending twice as much of our GDP on the military as our allies in NATO spend, and they manage to provide health care for all of their people as a right, and in many cases free college education. So I hope the American people get involved in this debate, that they're on the phone calling up their senators and members of the House and making it very clear that in these really tough times, when median family income has gone down very significantly for working families, many people are working 2 or 3 jobs to pay the bills. A lot of people have no jobs at all. Unemployment is far too high, that we cannot balance the budget on the backs of the middle class and working class of this country. Since Obama has been in office, our Republicans have been vigilant in protecting the wealthy and large corporations. They haven't paid 1 nickel more in taxes in order to help us with deficit reduction. So that whole issue of moving forward and protecting the elderly, the children, veterans, the sick is something we're working very hard on.
And protecting the sick, we have a minute to the break, Bernie. I understand in Vermont you've got a lot of these public clinics that you built into Obamacare that are dealing with issues of mental health. I'm
right.
Frankly thinking about this kid who did this shooting.
No, you're right. Look, mental health issues are a huge issue in this country, and as is primary health care. I just met the other day with the Minister of Health from Denmark, and they spend significantly less per capita than we spend on health care. And one of the reasons is that they have a strong primary health care system. What health care is about, Tom, is when you are sick, whether it is physical or whether it is mental, you should know that there is access for you. You can walk into somebody, you can talk to somebody, you can get the help that you need without waiting for 6 months or 3 years or paying a huge sum of money. And I think there's a huge problem in this country in regard to that.
Senator Bernie Sanders with us. It's our Brunch with Bernie Hour, our national town hall meeting. We'll be taking your calls for Senator Sanders right after this, 15 minutes past the hour.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
We'll be back with more of your calls for Senator Sanders. Check out his website, sanders.senate.gov. And welcome back. Free Speech TV, Joan, watching us on Free Speech TV in Ludington, Michigan. You are on the air with Senator Sanders, Joan.
Yeah. I'd like to know, what about the people whose income is from capital gains? Are there plans to raise their taxes to 39% too?
There are You raise a very good point, and the answer is that's absolutely something that we have to deal with, and we do have to raise that capital gains tax. The idea that a working person is paying somebody who's going out doing construction, or a police officer or a fireman is paying a higher rate than somebody who is, clipping coupons makes no sense at all to me. So the answer absolutely is yes.
Bernie, one variation on that. I've had a number of people call about, retired people call about a viral right-wing email that's going around that's saying that if the capital gains tax goes up, that a senior citizen who's making $15,000 or $20,000 a year off dividends from investments is going to pay 39% income tax, and they're not. It's a graduated tax, is it not?
Yes, it is.
So.
Yeah, it is. We got to be. The internet does a lot of wonderful things. It allows us the opportunity to hear a whole lot of different points of view, but sometimes things are out there which are baseless, and that's unfortunate. Yeah. So obviously, the major beneficiaries of low capital gains taxes are the wealthiest people in this country, major investors, and those are the people that we think should be paying their fair share.
The Mitt Romneys of the world. Sherry in Makawaho, Hawaii. You're on the air with Senator Bernie Sanders. Thanks for watching Free Speech TV out there.
Well, thanks for taking my call. My memory, unless it's faulty, is that these tax cuts were only passed after the Dick and Bush administration promised that they would be temporary, because economists and anyone with half a brain knew that they would bankrupt the country. So in order to get them passed, they gave us the assurance that they would only be temporary and they would sunset. And now it looks to me like we're having to trade away our grandmas and our children's future in order to negotiate to get these things to go away. So my question to the senators, maybe you could have them make a pledge to never ever talk about these Bush tax cuts without properly labeling them as the temporary sunsetting Bush tax cuts.
Well, Sherry, you make a good point. As I recall, they were 10-year tax cuts, extended for 2 years. So it's 12 years now. They were probably put in for 10 years for budgetary reasons, because if you made it longer, it would have been clearer to the American people the horrendous impact this would have on the future of our budget and on deficits. But the bottom line is, right now, if what the Republicans want to do, although I have to say there are more and more Republicans who understand that it is insane, that it is totally absurd that when we have $1 trillion deficit and a $16 trillion national debt, it is totally absurd to maintain these huge tax breaks for the wealthy. But bottom line is, we have got to end that. I hope the president remains strong on that, and that will mean $1 trillion in deficit reduction just by eliminating Bush's tax breaks for the wealthy.
Hey, our Senator Bernie Sanders taking your calls, and Lisha, and listening to Minnesota's Progressive Voice, AM 950, on the line with us. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, I am calling today to talk about gun control ideas. I know that Democrats are never going to get, guns outlawed, and I don't know that that's necessary. But I do think that it would be great if, right now we've had lots of these mass murders, and I think right now is a great time for the progressives to sort of lead with some sort of legislation that limits the number of clips in guns like we used to have, but also where we are charging anybody who sells guns, who manufactures bullets, who wants to get a gun license, to have to pay some sort of homicide prevention tax. And then that could go towards schools, putting metal detectors in schools and et cetera. So that way we all have a right to live safely, and those people can keep their guns.
Well, I don't, Lisha, wouldn't be supporting a homicide prevention tax. 99.9% of the people who own guns use them safely. But I think that what happened today in Connecticut and what's happened a couple of weeks ago in Oregon, what is happening too often in this country, requires a serious conversation of of how we deal with this issue. What I worry about is every time one of these horrible incidents hits the front page, some other unstable human being begins to think that makes sense to do. So I do think we need a serious discussion. I think we need to deal with this issue, no question about that. So that's what I would say about that.
Veronica in Chicago, listening to WCPT. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Senator Sanders. I have a lot of respect for you. Along the same line, I've just been in tears all day about this. I called my daughter's school just to make sure the security guard was on duty there so no one could get into her school. But my question is, I know that Congress, as right-wing as it is, will never do anything about gun control. But do the parents of these children that have died, do they have any recourse against the gun manufacturer? Can the gun manufacturers be held accountable? And can there be any kind of consequences for the gun manufacturer? You don't make a gun magazine that can shoot 100 rounds for just everyday people.
Veronica, you raise important issues. Again, I don't know that you hold a gun manufacturer responsible for what obviously a deranged person does. The issue is, what is the best way forward to prevent these types of horrible occurrences? How do we make sure that guns do not get into the hands of people who are mentally ill? How do we make sure that people own guns which are only designed to kill people, not to be used for hunting or target practices? There's a lot to be discussed, and I think we've got to do something. We don't want to be reading about this every month. So it is an issue that we're going to have to address.
Jim in Erie, Pennsylvania. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Yes, hello, Bernie. I met you when you spoke at the UE convention up in Vermont many years ago.
Okay.
United Workers, yeah, that was back in the day. But I just wanted to tell you, because I have been in this fight for progressive change in America since I was 17 years of age, even prior to going into the military, and you are doing one hell of a job on behalf of working people and our families. And I know sometimes you feel, as I did many times, joke around and say, is the Army behind me? Let me assure you, sir, that the Army is behind you, and that we are going to do everything we can to help assist you in the upcoming new Senate that's going to be reporting in January of 2013. And God bless you for what you've done for your country, and keep up the good work. We're with you.
Jim, thank you very much for those very kind words. And the United Electrical Workers is a union that I have worked with for many, many years. They have a strong presence here in Vermont, and they're one of the best unions in America. Jim, one of the frustrations that I have is sometimes people say, Bernie, you're way out there. Your ideas are, really way out there. They're not. I honestly believe everything that I talk about on this radio show and that people call in, we are the mainstream of America. You go out and you say to people, do you think we should continue tax breaks for billionaires and millionaires? People say, no, we shouldn't. Do you think we should cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education? No, we shouldn't. That's what the American people believe overwhelmingly. And yet you walk inside Capitol Hill, you walk into the Congress, it is another world entirely, where people are so influenced by the big money interest and by Wall Street and by some of the big media that somehow they think it is a good idea to be cutting programs for working families who are struggling to keep their heads above water. Can you imagine people seriously? We have millionaires, Wall Street millionaires, coming into Capitol Hill. Lloyd Blankfein, among others, the head of Goldman Sachs, a guy who got bailed out by the taxpayers of this country, worth hundreds of millions of bucks, comes in and says, I think we should cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, veterans programs. Who are these people? And the truth is they are a minority, but they have huge influence. So, Jim, to answer your question, I do know that the vast majority of the people are fighting for social justice in this country, that our job is to grow the middle class, the great middle class of this country. And together we have got to put backbone into the president, into Democrats, try to win some Republicans over, to make sure that we do not balance this budget on the backs of the most vulnerable.
Dave in Elkhorn, Wisconsin. You're only 4 seconds left? Okay, I'm sorry. I missed that time cue. Dave, I'm going to put you on hold, and we'll be right back with more. Senator Bernie Sanders is with us. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour, our national town hall meeting with Senator Sanders, taking your calls on the topics of the day and the topics of your choice. And be sure to check out Bernie's website, sanders.senate.gov. He's got a great newsletter there, the Bernie Buzz. You can sign up for it, get an email every day. Or not every day, but when it comes out. And the website itself is a great news resource.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Call 866-987-THOM.
And, of course, you can drop into our free live chat room over at thomhartmann.com, too, where you can hang out with some of the finest minds on earth. Back. Thom Hartmann here with you. Senator Bernie Sanders on the line. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour, our national town hall meeting with Senator Sanders. And Dave in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, listening on WCPT. You are on the air with Senator Sanders.
Senator Sanders, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Now, in light of what happened in Connecticut and watching how our lawmakers are having such a difficult time figuring out our fiscal cliff, how could we honestly expect them to sit down and at least address the issue of guns? With the outside influences that we have, how can we honestly expect this to be handled when they can't even figure out a budget?
Well, I think, Dan, if you're saying that to a significant degree, the United States Congress is unable to address the major problems facing our country, whether it's the economy, whether it's the budget, whether it is health care, whether it is global warming, you can make a good point. Long term, I think what we have to do is get money out of politics, end the incredible abuse of lobbyists in Washington right now who have significant influence, and try to make government responsive to the needs of ordinary Americans rather than just the big money interests who today have just extraordinary influence over the political process. But I would not be quite as pessimistic, I think, as you are. One of the untold stories of this last campaign is, A, of course, Obama did a lot better than almost anybody expected. B, Democrats and independents, such as myself, won 25 out of the 33 contested seats for the Senate. And C, what people really don't know is that a number of senators are coming in, new senators are coming in, who are going to be pretty progressive. You have people like Tammy Baldwin from Wisconsin, one of the more progressive members of the House, who won a very tough race in Wisconsin. She's going to be in the Senate in a couple of weeks. Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts is going to do a great job fighting for the middle class. Mazie Hirono from Hawaii is going to do a good job. We got some other folks out there. So it's not just Democrats picked up 2 more seats, and that was improbable. But you're going to see some very strong voices. And I hope that with those voices rallying the American people, we can effectively take on the big money interest and start turning this country around. One of the things that bothers me very much, Dan, when you talk about issues, is, in my view, the deficit is a serious issue. We got to deal with it. But you know what's even more serious is the fact that we have 23 million Americans who have either no jobs or they're underemployed, working 20 hours when they want to work 40 hours. And we need to rebuild the middle class. We need to put people back to work. We need to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure. We need to transform our energy system, cut carbon emissions, and put people to work in terms of energy efficiency projects and in terms of sustainable energy. So there's a lot of work to be done, and we've got to put those people back to work.
Vera in San Diego, California. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Oh, thank you, Senator Sanders. Thank you for everything you do. You're our hero. You're the only one that absolutely we can rely on to look out for the middle class and the American people. And what I wanted to mention is we here in San Diego, California's
is a blue Democratic state, but the county of San Diego is very, very conservative. Yet we managed, a group of us in community organizations managed to pass a money out of politics provision in the city council that to amend where money is not speech and corporations are not people, which was for considering how conservative our area is, the Duncan Hunter area. It was an accomplishment. But my question is, now that we've done this, if we can do it state by state and city by city, to what extent is that going to give us assurance that an amendment will actually be passed to not only reverse Citizens United, but to basically unequivocally assure that corporations will not be treated as persons? And then the second part is
Vera, let's let the senator speak here.
Okay. Well, Vera's made. First of all, Vera, let me thank you and the good people of San Diego for the work that you've done. I can't think of a domestic issue which is of greater importance. It doesn't seem like a sexy issue, because people say, well, I'm worried about healthcare, I'm worried about the economy, I'm worried about education, I'm worried about global warming. If you're worried about any of those issues and a dozen other major issues, you have to worry about what Vera was just talking about, and that is money in politics. The Citizens United decision was beyond comprehension. That's 2.5 years ago. The Supreme Court decided 5-4 that corporations were people. They had First Amendment rights to spend as much money as they want on campaigns, and we just saw the horror show of this last campaign where these guys spent huge sums of money, often without disclosure. So, Vera, I think that you and the people in San Diego have done exactly the right thing. There are now, I believe, 10 separate states, including the state of Vermont, where our legislatures have gone on record in saying we want to overturn Citizens United. As you know, to pass a constitutional amendment, we need 2/3 of the votes in the House and the Senate, and we need 3/4 of the states. So that's a pretty rough road to go through. But I think, interestingly enough, and you talk about San Diego County being conservative, I think there are a lot of conservatives who understand that there's something absurd about, one family spending hundreds of millions of dollars to elect the people they want to defeat their political opponents. I think we can win this thing, and we win it exactly the way you are doing it. So there have been now dozens and dozens of communities all over this country. We have a constitutional amendment, and we're going to work very hard in Washington on this. But the way to do it is exactly the way you guys have done it in San Diego. And the issue is here not just overturning Citizens United. It is moving aggressively toward public funding of elections. We need to elect the best people to Congress and to governor's chairs and everything else, regardless of the amount of money they have. They shouldn't have to be a millionaire to run for office, and not allow corporate interest and wealthy people to push people into higher office.
Linda in Salem, Massachusetts. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Oh, thanks for taking my call. At the end of the year, I think that the $250,000 FDIC insurance expires. I haven't heard any discussions about extending it, and if it isn't reinstated, will it automatically revert back to $100,000? Also, earlier I heard this gentleman talk about dividends. If you make all of your money through capital gains and dividends, do you have to pay anything into Social Security or Medicare? And if you don't, why aren't we going after them?
Well, Linda, you raised, I believe the answer to your second question is no. And that is a very good point. So when we talk about saving Social Security and lifting the cap, we're talking that only on taxable income. And Linda makes a good point. Right now, it would be a huge step forward if we did what I would like to do, which is to lift the cap, start at $250,000. If you did that, you would bring in enough money to make Social Security solvent for 75 years, which is where we want to be. Linda proposes something which is even more aggressive, which I think is a good idea. Politically, it probably will not go too far. So we're staying with what we have right now, but Linda's point is a good point. In terms of the FDIC, to be honest with you, Linda, I am not aware of that. I know that we just voted on an issue for community banks. It is not my understanding that we would revert back to $100,000 insurance at the end of this year. I may be wrong on that. I honestly don't know.
John in Modesto, California. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Okay, thanks for the call, Tom. Hey, Bernie, yeah, you said that 45,000 Americans die every year because they don't have health insurance. I believe every word of it, but what I'd like to know is what's your source on that? Is it the AMA, the U.S. government?
No, it was a study done at Harvard University a few years ago.
Okay. Dan.
Let me just pick up on John. What John referred to is a statement that I have made very often, that when people don't have health insurance and they can't find a doctor when they need a doctor, or they delay going to the doctor, the result is that we lose about 45,000 people a year. That was a study done at Harvard University maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I should tell you that if the Medicare age were raised from 65 to 67, that number would go up. If our Republican friends were successful in cutting Medicaid and throwing lower-income people off of health insurance, that number would go up as well. So it is an issue we don't talk enough about. But there are thousands of people who do not get to the doctor when they should, who have problems, who go untreated, and by the time they do get to the doctor, it is too late.
And, Bernie, we just have a half a minute, 30 seconds here. The health clinics, the small health clinics around the country, how's that going that you got into?
It's going
Obamacare?
very, very well. I fought very hard as part of the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, to double funding for community health centers. And in my state, we have about 18% of the people in Vermont access to health care. They play a very good role in dental care. Dental care is an issue we have too long neglected. Mental health counseling is part of what community health services provide, as well as low-cost prescription drugs. So it's a program we want to continue to expand, but we are making pretty good progress there.
Great. 45 minutes past the hour. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour here on the Thom Hartmann Program. We'll be back with more of Senator Sanders taking your calls in just a moment.
You're listening to the Thom Hartmann Program. Visit ThomHartmann.com for audio and video archives.
And check out Bernie's website, sanders.senate.gov. And welcome back. Cheryl, watching us on Free Speech TV in Vancouver, Washington. You're on the air, Senator Sanders.
Hi, Senator. Hi. I'm really grateful for your sanity. But I wanted to ask about the cap on FICA. And instead of capping it, I assume it's because after you get to a certain point, that's a lot of money coming out of your check is why they cap it. But why can't they just do a reduced rate? Like if
that's a good point. But Cheryl, that's a good point. But I wouldn't. Let's clarify what the situation is right now. Somebody makes $1 million of earned income. This is not unearned income. They will pay into the Social Security Trust Fund today the same amount as somebody making $110,000. I think that number is going to go up to $112,000, $113,000 in next year. And what some of us believe, and in fact what Obama campaigned on back in 2008, was to say, let's lift the cap, but you don't have to start at $110,000. You can take that cap up to $250,000, and from there, as $250 as your base, you lift the cap so that millionaires are now contributing more into the Social Security Trust Fund, wealthier people. And if you do that, that will go a long way to make Social Security solvent for the next 75 years, which is the kind of numbers that actuaries like to see. Now, you can play with this in a number of ways. There's an element of regressivity to the payroll tax, because right now everybody is paying 6.2%. And I think what Cheryl is saying, can we play with that? And the answer is, yeah, you can. But right now what my goal is of course, to make sure that Social Security benefits are not cut. and that's the fight we're waging right now over this fiscal cliff. And B, to make sure that Social Security will be there for our kids and grandchildren without cutting benefits. And the way we do that is to lift the cap. Can you juggle and make more progressive the payroll tax? You can. And some folks have talked about that as well.
John in Punta Gorda, Florida, watching on Free Speech TV. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Thanks
and we have
my
just
call,
1 minute to the break here, John. A quick question, please.
You're my hero. A quick question for Senator Sanders. Does not the Second Amendment of the Constitution, in the very first phrase, contain within itself the seeds of its own obsolescence? Thank you very much.
In other words, a well-regulated...
Well, there are lawyers who argue this till the cows come home, John. I think bottom line is, in my state we have, and throughout this country, you have millions of people who hunt, who enjoy hunting, who do target practice, who are absolutely responsible citizens. On the other hand, you have guns and very powerful weapons in the hands of mentally unstable people who should not have those weapons. So I think we have got to be, we need to have a national conversation of how we go forward, how we make sure that people who should not have guns do not have guns, how we make sure that people who are so mentally isolated get the help they need before they commit these horrendous crimes. There's a lot to discuss on that.
Senator Bernie Sanders with us. Our Brunch with Bernie hour will be back right after this.
Just give me faith, make me believe. Come on, save me, save me.
Welcome back. 10 minutes before the hour. Thom Hartmann here with you. It's our Brunch with Bernie hour. Senator Bernie Sanders on the line, and Barbara in Wayne, Michigan, listening on WDTW. You are on the air with Senator Sanders.
Thank you, Senator Sanders and Tom. I thank you both so much for all that you do and all the information that you share with us. Senator Sanders, I have never heard the total dollar amount or the percentage that was taken when President Reagan went down on the Social Security amount. He rounded it down, and that along with the fact that for 2 years there was no COLA, and so seniors lived on the same dollar amount for 3 years. That never gets thrown in the mix in terms of the dollar amount that was lost, the percentage that was given, and that contribution, was made, and it's been now quite a number of years.
Barbara, thanks. That's a good question, and I'm sorry I don't have the answer, the numbers in front of me. The issue we're dealing with now, Barbara, in COLAs, as I mentioned earlier, and I know when I tell seniors in Vermont this, they all start laughing, is that there are right-wing economists and a number of Republicans, and I fear some Democrats, who think that the COLAs that we provide seniors right now are too generous. And I know all over America, if seniors hear that, they do start laughing because they understand that in the last couple of years, 2 out of the last 3 years, they received no COLA at all, despite the fact that prescription drugs and healthcare costs, where seniors obviously spend a whole lot of money, has gone up. I think a strong case can be made that, in fact, the COLA, how you determine inflation for seniors who are so dependent on health care and drugs and so forth, food, heating, has understated their inflation, not overstated it. But, Barbara, the issue that we're dealing with right now is to make sure that COLAs are not cut. The way we calculate COLAs are not cut for seniors, which between 65 and 75 would cost them $560 a year if we don't stop that.
Ken in Jones, Oklahoma. You're on the air with Senator Sanders.
Hi, Senator Sanders. My question for you is, I'm disabled, and I'd really like to know what's being proposed right now for those of us that are on disability. I mean, we're living hand to mouth out here, and, they're talking about cutting Medicare, cutting Medicaid, and throwing God knows what at Social Security.
Well, Ken,
do you have any hope?
Well, Ken, let me tell you something. That's when I've been working. If you ask me, the issue that I've been working on for the last couple of months more than any other issue is precisely that. If you're on Social Security, SSI, disability benefits, yeah, they want to cut your benefits. That's the simple truth. Now, when you turn on the TV tonight and some pundit or some politician goes forward, and John Boehner says this all the time, Republicans say it, a couple of Democrats say it, we want entitlement reform. Entitlement reform. Please understand. They don't want entitlement reform. They want to cut benefits for Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. And they're just talking double talk. That's what they want. So, Ken, when I talk about a thing that most people aren't familiar with, a phrase called the chained CPI, just what I mentioned to Barbara a moment ago, it means they want to reconfigure, reformulate the COLAs that people with disabilities get, that older people get on Social Security, that veterans get who are receiving disability benefits. They want to lower those benefits. So we are fighting very, very hard to make sure that this budget is not balanced on the backs of the most vulnerable people in this country, the disabled, the elderly, the veterans, the children. That is precisely what this struggle is about. And at a time when the wealthiest people have done phenomenally well in recent years, so that you end up with the top 1% owning 42% of the wealth in America, while the bottom 60% own only 2.3%. When the last study that was done on this issue showed that 93% of all new income created in 2010 went to the top 1%, I think common sense, morality, an understanding of economics tells us you do not cut programs for people who are already hurting. It's morally unacceptable, and it is bad economics to take away money from people who desperately need it, who otherwise would spend it. So that is the struggle we're in, Ken, and I will talk to your senators in Oklahoma. And when you hear them talking about entitlement reform, that's what they're trying to do, cut benefits for people who are on disability.
Okay. Dan in Aurora, Colorado on AM 760. We have 2 minutes to the end of the hour, Dan. Quick question, please.
Thank you. Hello, Senator Sanders. I have a question as a plan to fix the fiscal cliff. The Republicans claim that it can be fixed by cutting spending, and the Democrats say that we can fix it by raising revenues. And so my question would be, why don't they take and say, we need $1 billion, cut it in half, and then both parties get to bring a bill to the floor that cannot be filibustered and cannot be voted down, and the Republicans will say, here's all the cuts we're going to put in for our half, and the Democrats will say, here's all the revenue increases we're going to put in for our half.
Let's toss it to Bernie. We just have a minute left, Dan.
Okay,
thank you.
Dan, let me just say a couple of things. I want everybody to know that already in the last 2 years, we made over $1 trillion in cuts. Okay? So we're talking about a $4 trillion package. $1 trillion in cuts have already taken place. Number two, the Republicans, to answer Dan's question, talk about revenue that they want to raise, but they haven't been very clear about where that revenue is going to come from. Is it going to come from the middle class? Number three, as I have said many times, I think that when the middle class is already suffering, when median family income is going down, you don't go after programs that people desperately need in order to survive, like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education, etc. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, Dan.
Senator Sanders, Bernie, thank you so much for being with us today.
Okay. My pleasure.
It is always great to have you on.